Hello, my name is Jason, and today we are going to talk about monster wolves, perfect memory, a village of dolls, and doppelgangers, cloning the ones we love. Things that are all a little bit strange and weird. First up, monster wolves. This is something Japan dreamed up to give bears full-on heart attacks.
何かに気づき立ち止まります。
Look at that bear take off. Absolutely terrified. Basically, they're used for keeping bears and other animals away by making sounds and looking scary. But are glowing red eyes absolutely necessary? Pure nightmare fuel. Just look at this thing. I feel like this is something you would never see in the US. Apparently, they've had a lot of deaths and injuries because of these bears encroaching into human areas. Thankfully, they are attached to poles, like a scarecrow, so they can't hunt you down, at least not for now. I haven't seen this kind of animatronic horror since attending showbiz when I was a kid. In actuality, this was a nice experience as a child. For some reason, I wasn't terrified. But as an adult, my eyes are opened. In a related topic, did you know that China is actively developing robot dogs for military use? Yeah, that's not a joke. Be afraid, my friend. Be very afraid. That actually reminds me of the Black Mirror episode where the woman is being hunted down by a robo-dog. And you have to ask yourself, are we living in some kind of a dystopian world where governments use crazy TV and movie ideas as inspiration for how they can control people? So you've got the Japanese version, horrifying, and the Chinese version, actually dangerous. Hopefully, they don't work together on the next version. The next strange and weird topic is the fish doorbell in the Netherlands. It's a live stream where viewers press a button to open a gate so fish can safely migrate. If you don't know, in the Netherlands they have a lot of canals, and this gate is part of a canal lock system. It controls water levels and boat traffic. And actually, this is located in Utrecht, one of the first places I visited when I started my year-and-a-half-long backpacking across Europe. As you can see, they've got a website here where they would have a live stream view of the fish in the water. But when it's active, you can watch the video feed and press a button and notify the gatekeeper that there are fish waiting. To be honest, reading about this gave me a lot of questions, like, why do we need to notify some guy about the fish? Why does a human have to open the gate? Why don't they just leave the gate open all the time? Why do they have all these canals and lock systems anyway? In my hometown, San Antonio, they have a river walk in the center where tourists walk by the river. And there don't seem to be any locks or systems to control that water. After doing some research into it, it appears that these locks have been developed, for hundreds of years. They would cost millions of euros to replace, and guys like this actively monitor it, so he doesn't exactly have time to sit there and monitor the underwater camera for the fish. It's not his primary responsibility. So the Dutch people, wanting the fish to still be able to move and grow and breed and all this, developed this system where they outsource it to people on the internet. And if enough people alert the gatekeeper, then he's notified, now is a good time, I need to open the doors, the fish will go through, he'll close the doors, which need to be closed most of the time because they're part of a flood control system. So actually, it's a pretty clever solution. It becomes fun, free, and makes people care. Speaking of fish, what's the opposite of having a goldfish memory? How about a memory that never forgets? Welcome to highly superior autobiographical memory. People who have this condition can remember almost every day of their life, precise dates, events, the weather, how they felt, going back decades. And surprisingly, many people say it's not a gift because bad memories don't fade. Embarrassing moments stay forever. Grief stays vivid. Brain scans show a significantly larger caudate nucleus, part of the brain involved in memory. It's so rare that researchers still aren't sure why it happens. Maybe 100 documented cases worldwide. In fact, the first person to be diagnosed with this disease, Jill Price, you can read about her, watch videos. She's on Wikipedia. It's a documented thing. And she's still alive today. And by the way, this is not the same thing as photographic memory. These people can't memorize textbooks and ace exams. Instead, they have near-perfect recall of personal life events. Hence the name, highly superior autobiographical memory. It goes decades back and it's uncontrollable. And it's funny because we usually complain that our memory is not good enough. But could you imagine never being able to forget the details of every social interaction? Imagine if you couldn't move on from something difficult. I'm reminded of another Black Mirror episode where they had a device that they could record every social thing that happened and play it back later to reanalyze who had said what to them. So if you think about it, in a way, our ability to forget is very important. Now coming back to Japan, we have Nagoro, Village of Dolls. It is known for having more mannequin doll people than real people living there anymore. Talk about creepy. They are all over the city doing various tasks like tilling the field, chilling at a bus stop, or group gathering on the porch, or whatever this is. Apparently a woman living there, Tsukimi, made one looking like her dead father to be a scarecrow, and after people commented that they liked it, she started making more. So actually, it is a little sad and sweet, and perhaps not that creepy. Apparently this woman is very kind and you could go there and have a tour of her work, but still, I wouldn't want to be caught here when the sun goes down. Speaking of mannequins, Japan also has fake policemen set up to make drivers slow down. I'm not sure if that would make me slow down. Well, but yeah, I could see how this kind of thing might give people pause. I guess that's also a fake police car? Or is it a real peace car? Now that I think about it, that's a lot of mannequins. They've got fake police, fake villagers, and fake monster wolves. That's what I call a little strange and weird. Next on the strange, some cities solve homelessness the same way medieval castles solved intruders. They don't move people, they make places impossible to exist in. By installing metal spikes, slanted benches, and hostile design to prevent sleeping, we invented architecture whose entire purpose is to make humans uncomfortable. Also known as hostile architecture. Artistic and uncomfortable at the same time. There's no room to lie down on this bench, and with these prongs jutting out of the foliage, this guy hardly has room to squat. Ooh, look at this one. That's certainly a no-go. Would not be able to get good sleep there, unless maybe you need chiropractic care. And what they say is, most people never even notice them, but once you see them, you can't unsee them. They're invisible rules built into the environment. I've heard about this, but I can't say that I've seen a lot of it in real life. How many of you have encountered hostile architecture? And do you think it's unethical or a reasonable solution? Lastly, and perhaps most disturbingly, Capgras syndrome. Imagine looking at someone you love and knowing they look exactly right, but feeling with complete certainty that's not them, that they have been replaced by someone else, by some doppelganger. That's a real condition called Capgras syndrome. Could you imagine how that would feel? You see your best friend, but you're sure it's not them. With this syndrome, the part of the brain that recognizes faces still works, but the emotional response that tells you, this is someone I know, does not work. So the brain fills in the gap with an explanation that feels logical to the person experiencing it. This must be an imposter. Doctors think Capgras shows that familiarity isn't just recognition, it's an emotional signal. And when that signal disappears, reality breaks in very specific ways. Speaking of doppelgangers, and before we say goodbye, I'll share with you a little personal story. And no, I'm not crazy, but I did once see something I can't explain. I was 9 years old. I saw a kind of doppelganger or a ghost of my brother. It was in the middle of a warm, sunny summer day, the opposite of a normal ghost story setting. Very quickly, I walked into his room. He was standing there with his back to me, and he had a black piece of fabric over his head, which at the time was not unusual. It was a piece of some Halloween costume. I said, "Hey, do you want to play a game?" As soon as I spoke, he started walking and went around the door. Like the door was open like this, so he just walked around it. I couldn't see him, so I was like, what gives? And I just followed him, came around the corner, which is where the wall and the door closes, and he was not there. No one was there. I freaked out of my mind. Every hair on my body stood on its end. I backed up. I immediately laid down in the hallway with my butt, like to see all the way around me so nothing could like sneak up behind me, like in some kind of horror movie. I called out to my brother and he came from the opposite side of the house. To this day, I can't explain that. I don't know what to make of that. Did I hit my head too hard and rearranged a few of the bits? Also, my brother's alive, so it couldn't be a ghost. That leaves doppelganger or some kind of spirit. I just don't know what to make of that memory because it's as real to me as any of my other memories. And it's not like I see ghosts all the time. I've never seen anything else so strange like that. Well, my friends, thank you for joining me in this episode of The Strange and the Weird. Make sure to subscribe if you don't want to miss the next video. And please, if you have any ideas of strange and weird topics you would like me to cover, put them in the comments below. Until next time.